Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.
You're watching South Asian Newsline and here the top stories we are tracking for you on Wednesday, the 18th of September. India's Jammu and Kashmir votes in first regional poll in a decade. Activists flag Pakistani atrocities, Baloch crisis outside UN office in Geneva. And Sri Lankan rally for change, presidential polls to focus on corruption and recovery. And now for all the details. Voters queued outside polling stations in India's Jammu and Kashmir on Wednesday to vote in the first phase of provincial election in the federally administered region. In the first phase, in which over 2.3 million voters are eligible to cast their votes, 24 seats went to polls, which included 16 seats in the Kashmir region and 8 seats in the Jammu region. The election also saw participation from displaced Kashmiri Pandit community from across the country who were eligible to cast their votes from Jammu, Udhampur and national capital New Delhi. The polls are the first in a decade as well as the first after the abrogation of the controversial Article 370. The contest this time is between the regional parties with PM Modi's BJP and the Congress, which has forged a pre-poll alliance with regional party Jammu Kashmir National Conference. The alliance has promised to restore the special status. However, the BJP has vowed to block any move aimed at undoing those changes and has pitched development and a permanent end to militancy in the border territory.
वोटिंग जो एक अच्छा स्टेप है इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया की तरफ से हम पिछले 10 साल से वेट कर रहे थे इसका क्योंकि यहाँ पर प्रॉब्लम बहुत है हमें हेल्थ की प्रॉब्लम हेल्थ इश्यूज़ है ज़्यादा एजुकेशन की प्रॉब्लम है डेवलपमेंट की प्रॉब्लम है तो इससे क्या होगा कि हम एक अच्छा रिप्रेजेंटेटिव चुन सकते हैं जो हमारी जो ये सियासत है या हमारी घरों तक आनी चाहिए हम फ्रीली वोट करने चाहिए
आई थिंक वोट करना हर किसी का राइट है और अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटी अगर 10 साल के बाद लोगों को अपॉर्चुनिटी मिल रही है एक इलेक्टेड बॉडी और इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव को सिलेक्ट करने का जो कल आपकी बातों को सुने जो कल आपके मसाइलों को सुने जो कल आपको हेल्प करे जो नॉट आपको हेल्प करे जो स्टेट को ऑल्सो हेल्प करे आगे जाने में आई थिंक इट्स अ गुड मोमेंट गुड अपॉर्चुनिटी
India is prepared to keep buying oil from Russian companies that are allowed to make such sales since prices are cheap, Oil Minister Hardeep Singh Puri said on Tuesday. Talking to Reuters, Puri said India will buy oil at the lowest possible prices from anyone. If an entity is not under sanctions, there is no question I will buy from the cheapest supplier, he said. Puri added that India is not the only country buying oil and gas from Moscow, adding that European countries as well as the Japanese businesses are buying from Russia. Western sanctions on Russia over its war with Ukraine have kept the prices Russia can charge for its crude oil. However, as per Reuters report, India overtook China in July this year to become the top buyer of Russian oil, even with China receiving pipeline and seaborne deliveries. For seaborne cargoes alone, India has been the largest market for Russian oil since an EU embargo on Moscow's oil took effect in 2022. While the New Delhi's oil purchase has been criticized by the West, the oil has become the top commodities in the trade ties between India and Russia. Moving on. Baloch activists held a photo exhibition and demonstration in Geneva on Tuesday to raise the issue of rights violations in Balochistan by Pakistan. Take a look.
Members of BNM, the Baloch National Movement, on Tuesday held a photo exhibition and demonstration outside the UN office in Geneva to highlight Pakistani atrocities in Balochistan on the sidelines of the 57th UNHRC session. The activists urged the United Nations to stop ignoring human rights violations in Balochistan and demanded intervention to end enforced disappearances. They said they reject exploitative foreign projects like the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which have only exploited the indigenous Baloch people. The protesters were also joined by other human rights defenders from across the world.
Pakistan must be held accountable. The West must cease all military aid to Pakistan because those weapons are being diverted to suppress the people of Balochistan. The Commonwealth must suspend Pakistan. It is violating the Commonwealth Charter and the human rights principles that the Commonwealth espouses.
I think one thing that Pakistan needs to understand, they cannot continue the way things are. More violence will generate more resistance, and the state persecution makes them more resilient. So the Balochistan issue is not complicated, it's very basic. They're asking for some basic things, which includes human rights, basic human dignity, and demand that the Baloch rights are recognized and respected.
Activists allege Pakistani army and spy agencies use torture and abductions as tactics to instill fear and exert control over the Baloch people, who have been demanding independence from Pakistan's occupation. They blame Baloch people have been targets of so-called military operations, ethnic stereotyping, and abductions by the Pakistani state, while it continues to exploit their natural resources.
The educational landscape in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir remains a stark reminder of the region's neglect. Locals lament the government's inability to improve the situation. A report.
The educational infrastructure in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir is in a state of disrepair, leaving residents feeling deprived and frustrated. Poor schools, limited job opportunities, and high education costs have exacerbated the situation. Parents are forced to make significant financial sacrifices to afford private schools, which have become lucrative businesses. However, even after completing their education, many young people struggle to find employment. Local residents lament the government's inaction in addressing these issues. Corruption, inadequate facilities, teacher shortages, and a lack of job prospects have fueled a sense of despair among the youth.
प्राइवेट वालों ने ये किया हुआ है कि उन्होंने तालीम को बतौर बिजनेस जो है वो इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं और गरीब आदमी तो प्राइवेट स्कूलों की फ़ीस अदा नहीं कर सकता। हुकूमत आज़ाद कश्मीर तालीमी एमरजेंसी नाफज करे और आज़ाद कश्मीर के अंदर तालीमी इदारों के मयार को बेहतर बनाने के लिए एक खसूसी सेल कायम किया जाए जो ये जायज़ा ले।
For years, residents of POJK have yearned for a better administration that prioritizes their development. However, the ground reality in the occupied region suggests that their concerns and aspirations are largely ignored.
As Sri Lankan presidential poll is around the corner, people are rallying to elect a leader who will fight corruption and put what they say a more human face for the country's recovery. More than 17 million Sri Lankans are eligible to vote for a new president on September 21, hoping to fight corruption and foster economic growth as the island nation grapples with its worst financial crisis in more than 7 decades. Many blamed previous President Gotabaya Rajapaksa for the meltdown caused by a sharp fall in foreign exchange reserves, squeezing imports of essentials and sparking protests that coalesced into an uprising popularly referred to as Aragle or struggle in Sinhala.
Of the so-called main political parties are pledged or willing to continue the objective of the Aragle or accomplish the objective of the Aragle. So therefore, even after the election, whoever wins, the so-called mainstream political parties, nothing will be changed in a society. There will not be a system change. It's very clear.
The uprising in 2022 witnessed thousands marching in Colombo and occupying presidential office and residence that deposed a president for the first time in Sri Lanka's history. The parliament elected incumbent President Ranil Wickremesinghe as Rajapaksa's successor. The 2022 meltdown drove inflation to 70%, power tariffs jumped 65%, and the currency depreciated 45%. Inflation and interest rates are currently down to single digits, while growth of 3% is expected in 2024, the first expansion since the economy shrank 7.3% during the crisis. Nepal's living deities, the Kumari, Ganesh and Bhairav, embarked on a tour of the inner areas of Kathmandu from Tuesday as part of the annual Indra Jatra, signaling the arrival of the festive season in the Himalayan nation. Thousands of people from around the valley poured into premises of Basantpur Darbar Square to witness the celebration as well as pay homage to the living gods in human form. Devotees pulled chariots, hoisting the deities through a sea of revelers who waited for hours to get a glimpse. It is believed that god of rain, Lord Indra, came to the earth in disguised form to collect night-flowering jasmine flowers for his mother, but was caught and kept bound by the local Neva community. After Lord Indra's identity was disclosed, they took out a procession which has continued till now.
हरेक सालमा नै जात्राको एउटा अलगै मनमोहक वातावरण भइरहेको हुन्छ हैन यहाँको माहौलदेखि लिएर यहाँको हेर्न आउने मान्छेहरूदेखि लिएर यहाँको जुन लोकालिटी हुन्छ त्यो सबैले नै रोमाञ्चित गर्छ एक त बाजागाजाहरू धेरै हुने अनि गणेश भैरव र कुमारी यो बेला मात्र एकदम राम्रो देखिने किनभने यसमा विशेष प्रकारको महत्त्व राखेको हुन्छ जुन अरू बेला निस्किँदा ल्याउँदैन र गणेश र भैरव त विशेष गरी यही जात्राको लागि मात्रै बाहिर यसरी महत्त्व राखेर आउँछ अरू बेला नर्मली जुडो मात्र बानेर आउँछ हैन त्यस्तै टास्कै लुगा लगाउनुहुन्छ तर यो बेला विशेष महत्त्व लगाउनु भएको पनि उनीहरूको अनुहारमा एक किसिमको अलगै रौनक हुन्छ त्यही हेर्नको लागि नि सबै म भाइ पनि धेरै कहाँबाट मान्छेहरू आउँछ हैन
That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.
Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.